Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling a really interesting stack of reports from May 2025. We're going to zero in on cybersecurity threats and also what's happening in the always moving world of cryptocurrency.
That's the plan. Think of this as getting you the key takeaways, those aha moments, without, drowning you in all the details.
Exactly. We want to cut through the noise. And there's plenty to talk about. The threat landscape seems, well, pretty active.
Oh, absolutely. We're seeing everything from ransomware hitting really critical services like hospitals to um, very sophisticated state-sponsored phishing. The targets and tactics are constantly evolving.
And then there's crypto. We'll look at Asia's growing role, the whole tricky business of token unlocks, and even a former president's take on crypto mining.
Right. Plus, we'll touch on how this stuff ripples out, impacting things like retail security and, believe it or not, even finding links back to old sci-fi novels.
Okay, let's get into it. Cybersecurity first.
Sure.
These reports suggest May was quite a month.
It certainly was. One of the first things that jumps out is just the sheer amount of scanning going on. Reconnaissance, really.
What kind of scanning?
Well, a significant number of IP addresses, specifically ones hosted by Amazon, were seen doing these broad scans. They were looking for known weaknesses in systems like Cold Fusion, Struts, and Elasticsearch.
So not necessarily a direct attack right then and there, but more like testing the defenses
Yeah.
or mapping things out.
Exactly, like mapping things out. It feels like a wide effort to just find any vulnerability they can exploit later. Building a list, maybe, testing tools. It really raises that question.
A kind of digital scouting mission.
Yeah.
And speaking of actual attacks, the ransomware situation sounds pretty serious in these reports. That hospital network incident, wow, affecting 840,000 patients.
Yeah, that one's deeply concerning. The potential impact on patient care is just huge. It really underscores how vulnerable our critical infrastructure still is.
Absolutely. And then there's this dire wolf gang targeting a legal board in Western Australia.
Right, and they're using that double extortion tactic. Encrypt the data, then threaten to leak it if you don't pay. That's becoming almost standard practice now, unfortunately.
And their motto, no morals, no political stance, no LGBT. That's just bizarre.
It is strange, isn't it? Hard to know if it's just posturing or, reflecting some kind of nihilistic viewpoint. It certainly makes you pause.
Definitely weird.
Yeah,
We also saw SafePay ransomware hitting a law firm in Queensland, so this is clearly a global issue.
it really is. But there are consequences for the attackers, too. The reports mention an Iranian national pleading guilty for Robinhood ransomware attacks. He's facing, potentially 30 years?
Yeah, 30 years. So real jail time.
Which is crucial.
Hmm.
But the overall trend seems to be that as defenses get better, these gangs just get more aggressive. They adapt. It's a worrying evolution.
It feels like a constant game of cat and mouse, doesn't it? A sort of cyber arms race.
Precisely. And it's not just about brute force attacks. Deception is huge. Like cloning legitimate websites to trick people. Like that fake Bitdefender site you mentioned. Spreading the venom RAT.
Exactly. Imagine you're quickly looking for antivirus software. It would be so easy to click on the wrong link. And that's how they get you. Social engineering is still incredibly effective.
And venom RAT, that's not just annoying adware, right? It's serious malware.
Oh, very serious. It's a remote access Trojan. It gives the attacker full control over the infected machine, lets them steal data, passwords, everything. It's about gaining deep, persistent access.
Okay, that's scary. Then we have Void Blizzard, or Laundry Bear, targeting NGOs with fake Microsoft login pages. That sounds sophisticated.
It is. They're using something called Evil Jinx. It basically intercepts the login process, even if you have multi-factor authentication, to steal your session cookie.
So they can bypass 2FA.
Effectively, yes, by stealing the already authenticated session. And the links to Russia, the focus on NATO countries and Ukraine, the geopolitical angle is pretty clear there. Microsoft calls it worldwide cloud abuse.
And Dutch intelligence confirmed they breached a police employee using that cookie theft method. That's right, the MAVD confirmed it. A pass-the-cookie attack back in September 2024. It's like someone stealing your event wristband after you've already shown your ID. They just walk right in. And they suspect other Dutch organizations were hit too.
It really highlights the threat from these state-linked groups. They have resources and patience.
And their focus on EU and NATO countries tells you what they're after. Intelligence, it's ongoing cyber espionage.
But it's not just the big state actors, is it? These MIMO hackers exploiting a flaw in Craft CMS.
Right, exploiting CVE 2025-32432. They used it to install crypto miners and proxyware. It just drives home how vital it is to keep your software updated. Patching vulnerabilities is crucial.
Absolutely. Even seemingly small flaws can be exploited. And attackers are getting clever about using trusted platforms too, like Google's AppSheet.
Yeah, scammers using AppSheet to impersonate big names like Meta or PayPal. It adds this layer of fake legitimacy, makes the scam seem more believable.
Sort of hiding in plain sight.
Exactly. And these reports also mention browser-in-the-middle attacks.
Right, I saw that. Yeah. They can steal active sessions really quickly, apparently.
Alarmingly quickly, it bypasses the login process entirely by hijacking an already active session. Really emphasizes the need for strong session management and security.
And finally, on the cyber front, the third-party risks. The Adidas breach.
A classic example. The breach happened via one of their external providers. It's a reminder that you need to vet your vendor's security, not just your own.
Your security chain is only as strong as its weakest link.
Precisely. And while the details on the third-party angle for the Coinbase breach aren't fully laid out here, the fact that they're facing legal action after a breach affecting nearly 70,000 customers, well, it shows the huge stakes in the crypto world, too.
Okay, good transition. Let's pivot to cryptocurrency. Lots happening there too, especially in Asia, it seems.
Definitely. Asia's becoming a real hotbed. You've got Kazakhstan making a clear play to be the crypto hub for Central Asia. That's a big statement.
Yeah, setting up the regulations. What else?
Well, Thailand is planning tokenized government bonds for retail investors. That's the government itself using blockchain tech. Vietnam's looking at a regulatory framework for crypto remittances, potentially shaking up how money moves across borders.
Interesting. So government's getting involved directly.
And Malaysia is actively refining its rules, too. It just shows this broad movement across the region to create clear frameworks, which could really accelerate adoption. They seem to be vying for leadership in the space.
Makes sense. Now, token unlocks. Bioprotocol postponed a big one.
Yeah, they were set to unlock about 117 million bio tokens in May 2025, but they pushed it. Instead, they're doing a gradual linear release starting later from November 2025 to May 2026.
Why the change?
Primarily to avoid shocking the market. Dumping a huge number of tokens all at once can crash the price. Spreading it out should mean less disruption. Plus, the rest of their tokens are on a long 6-year vesting schedule.
So it signals more long-term thinking, aligning incentives.
That seems to be the goal, stability and aligning everyone for the long haul.
Got it. What about who's actually using crypto? That Gemini report had some demographics.
It did. It noted the gender gap is narrowing, albeit slowly, which is, a positive sign for inclusivity. And perhaps less surprising, Gen Z and millennials are still the dominant groups owning crypto.
Yeah, that fits with them being early adopters of tech generally.
Exactly, confirms that trend. And crypto isn't just about finance, right? There's community stuff too, like that Coinstore Pizza Festival.
Right. It sounds a bit quirky, but it's about connecting the blockchain culture with real-world activities, making it maybe feel a bit more tangible and fun. Building bridges
Trying to make it less intimidating, maybe?
could be part of it. And we're seeing the ecosystem mature too.
Right.
Sonic SVM unveiling support for DeFi, NFTs, even meme coins. It shows the space is diversifying beyond just Bitcoin or Ethereum.
DeFi being decentralized finance, NFTs, the unique digital items.
Correct. And speaking of DeFi, Swissborg integrating Hyperliquid into its platform that's about making decentralized trading easier, more seamless for regular users.
Lowering the barrier to entry. Precisely. User experience is key if DeFi is going to go mainstream.
Okay. And finally, in crypto, Donald Trump wanting the U.S. to lead in crypto mining.
Yeah, that statement definitely turned some heads. He expressed a desire for the U.S. to be a mining capital.
But that seems potentially at odds with some environmental concerns, and maybe even some of his base. That phrase about the Bitcoin hum unsettling Trump's Meiji A heartlands was quite evocative.
It really highlights the complexities, doesn't it? There's a potential clash there between pushing for tech leadership, environmental impacts, and the sentiments of different voter groups. It's a tricky balancing act.
Definitely one to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, let's briefly touch on some other interesting developments beyond just cyber and crypto. Saudi Arabia's AI fund.
Right. Human Ventures planning a $10 billion fund. That's a massive investment in AI, signals huge ambition in that space, and they're talking to major U.S. AI firms.
And Salesforce buying Informatica, another big tech consolidation.
Both show just how fast things are moving in AI and data management. Huge deals, huge investment.
Then on a more down to earth level.
Hmm.
Retailers like Tesco and Greg's installing new security, like VAR cameras for shoplifting.
Yeah, and moving items away from self-checkouts, adding more tags.
Yeah.
It's a very visible sign of the pressures businesses are under right now dealing with theft.
A practical response to a real-world problem.
Exactly. And there are a few other fascinating, slightly more niche things mentioned too.
Like the bioprotocol using tokens for biotech funding.
Yeah, tokenizing biotech initiatives and intellectual property, an interesting application. And the research on Williams syndrome giving clues about human social evolution.
Right. And 3D printing the materials, safety concerns with fumes.
Hmm. And even how scientists are figuring out what dinosaurs sounded like.
Right.
Using CT scans and looking at bird relatives, that discovery of a syrinx, a voice box, and an ancient bird fossil is pretty amazing.
It really is. And that weird link between Bovril the beef drink and an old sci-fi novel about vril energy.
Huh? Yeah, that's a fun historical connection. Shows how ideas can pop up in unexpected places.
It all just shows how interconnected everything is, doesn't it?
It really does. Seemingly random fields bumping into each other.
And finally, the reports briefly noted the impact of the Israel-Gaza conflict on things like IVF clinics and potential Trump administration policies on university funding and student visas.
Right, just reminders that big global events and political decisions ripple outwards, affecting lives and institutions in ways you might not immediately expect.
A complex web for sure.
Definitely illustrates that interplay between politics, social issues, and, well, pretty much every sector.
So wrapping this up, it's clear cybersecurity, crypto, and these broader tech trends are all tangled together and changing incredibly fast.
Yeah, what strikes me is how they influence each other. Like, crypto gets more valuable, so it becomes a bigger target for cybercrime. AI improves, and it can be used for better defense or smarter attacks. It's all interconnected.
That's a great point. So thinking about all these threats, all this rapid change, what are some of the really unexpected intersections you think we might see emerging soon? And maybe more importantly for everyone listening, how can individuals or even organizations start preparing for that unpredictable future?
That's the big question, isn't it? Something to really chew on.
Definitely food for thought.
Huh?
Thanks for tuning into The Deep Dive.